Pre-run nutrition for those in the half and the full program. We're at that point where it's starting to become important. Our mileage is getting up there high enough. Why is it important? Well, overnight, you deplete your liver glycogen levels. So we need to replace those in the morning. We don't want to run long distances on an empty stomach. It can help prevent a lot of stuff. It helps with your muscle fatigue if you fuel up first. If you eat the right stuff before a run, it can help with your GI issues, as opposed to running either with the wrong stuff in your stomach or nothing in your stomach. It also helps you from bonking on a long run or during your race. It can also push back where you might hit that proverbial wall for the marathon folks. So lots of reasons why to do it. Some of us, we're at a point where we know ourselves and we can figure out, hey, up to this amount of miles, I really don't need to eat before my run. But we're gonna reach that point real soon if we already haven't reached that point in the programs. So, I guess the first question is, when should you eat before your run? If you were to ask a dietitian, they would say, oh, 3 or 4 hours before you go out on your run, replenish from the night before. So if your marathon starts at 7 in the morning, wake up, eat at 3. None of us, I don't think, are going to do that. More reasonable is like maybe an hour before your race. If you can push it to 2 hours before your race, you just wouldn't eat as large of a meal as you would if you were doing it 4 hours ahead of time. So if you do it 1 hour ahead of time, have a small meal, and then like 15 minutes before your race, you can have a snack to help as well with your glycogen levels and your sugar levels. If you eat, for a lot of people, if they eat too close to when they start the run, they feel heavy or they have stomach issues. At the opposite extreme, for if you eat too far in advance, it's not gonna do anything. That's something you will have to figure out what works best for you. So the good news is we have a lot of time left in the training program to experiment with when to eat before a run. Back when I first started running distance and I heard that dietitian come out and give a speech that said, hey, eat 3 hours before you do your run. I was doing that. I got up early and ate, and then I would sleep for 2 more hours, and then I'd get up and get ready and drive down to wherever the run was. That did not last long. I tried it. I really don't notice that much of a difference not doing that as opposed to just eating an hour before my long runs now. And even now, I've switched to the UCAN, so I don't even eat an hour before the long run. I'm pounding the UCAN a half hour in the car on the way down. What to eat? We're all big on whole grains now and getting lots of fiber. That's not what you want to eat. Avoid fiber. If you eat something that has a lot of fiber in it or is whole grain and it's hard to digest, you're more likely to have stomach issues during that run, and you're also more likely to have to stop during that run. So don't make your stomach work extra hard by eating those whole grains and the fiber. Save that for other times. Be healthy then. You want to have roughly a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 ratio between carbs and protein, so you don't want to load up on a ton of protein because it's harder to digest than carbs are. Plus carbs are what you're going to use for that long run. Fat is okay as long as it's the right kind of fat. So a lot of people do nut butters of some sort. Avocados is a good pre-run food to have in moderation. You just don't want to load up on the fat. The other part of pre-run nutrition that can be really helpful is to load up on electrolytes as well before you run. So it's important to hydrate before you run, but also if you have electrolytes before you run, just to make sure you're stocked up before the run so you're not playing catch up on it. That can be helpful. Eating something salty can be a good thing. We have a lot of time now to experiment. So what training programs are really good for is to find out what works. So you can experiment with different foods and different amounts before your runs, before your long runs. See what works. When you find something that works, stick with it so that when you get to race day, you're not trying anything new. You're just doing everything that's proven and that you've had success with on long runs.